America, I'm Annie Griffin, your host, and we're going to be talking today about the most censored news stories of 2015. Things the corporate media doesn't want you to know. So we'll start with the first one, ocean acidification. What does that mean? Thanks for watching.
Ocean acidification is a phenomenon that we're experiencing now due to the fact that the ocean is absorbing, like a sponge, carbon dioxide that we produce.
As CO2 is absorbed by the ocean, it changes the chemistry, which can cause the oceans to become more acidic.
We know that ocean pH is changing, and that in itself is alarming.
You can acidify any liquid just by taking a straw and blowing through it into a glass of water. And the CO2 in your breath is introduced into the water and causes a dropping of the pH in the water. Same thing is happening in the ocean. In the last 250 years or so, the acid levels in the ocean have increased 25 to 30%. And this is directly measurable. You can go out into the ocean with special meters and you can measure that increase in acidification.
As you increase the concentration of carbon dioxide in the water, you're actually going to affect ocean organisms physiologically and affect their metabolism. It's like they're breathing into a brown paper bag.
You lose some of the species you would expect to be really sensitive, and these are species with shells.
Many organisms in the ocean build skeletons out of calcium carbonate, which is basically chalk. Clams, corals, snails, many organisms use this material for their skeletons. Ocean acidification, it will literally dissolve some of the shell. It will affect the structural integrity of the shell, and this is a skeleton of the animal. Think of your own skeletons basically becoming a little bit rubbery.
Oysters are ecologically important. They filter water, they provide habitat for a lot of other organisms at the base of the food chain.
We're beginning to see effects in microscopic planktonic organisms in the Southern Ocean, and that's alarming because some of these microplankton are responsible for producing much of the food at the base of the food chain.
We are all connected.
We depend on the ocean for our economies. Out here on the west coast, for example, one of the areas of concern is oyster farming.
We can already see how economies are being affected. We've had a response to the $300 million potential loss of a huge economy through the oyster fishery in the state of Washington. There's actually been a response on the part of the government recognizing explicitly that this is going to be an issue. It's going to be an enormous impact on coastal communities and in the way that a lot of people make their living.
I think other states will follow. I think California should be paying attention to this.
The number one thing that we can do to combat ocean acidification is to stop burning fossil fuels. Burning fossil fuels has been one giant chemistry experiment threatening the oceans that give us life. We can turn toward clean and renewable energy sources, and if we can tell our friends and our elected officials about ocean acidification, we can leave those chemistry experiments in the classroom and start being part of the solution. The oceans don't have a voice, so if we can use our voices in the classroom, in our offices, on social media, at the dinner table, we can educate people, we can inspire people, and we can ultimately be leaders for the ocean and for the people that depend on it.
As a percentage of our total greenhouse gas emissions, cars, trucks, and power plants seem to be the biggest contributors to climate change. But the elephant in the room is that our consumption of meat is actually the leading cause. When its effects and byproducts are taken together, animal agriculture accounts for about half of global emissions. On average, each American eats 275 pounds of meat a year. That's like every man, woman, and child eating a quarter pounder every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are over 1.5 billion cows on Earth, and each one emits 65 gallons of methane a day as they digest their food. And methane is a potent greenhouse gas, trapping 25 times more heat in our atmosphere than carbon dioxide. And when it just comes to sheer waste, 2,500 dairy cows are equivalent to a city of over 400,000 people. Every minute, the animals raised for food in the US produce 7 million pounds of waste. But where does it all go? Into our waterways and oceans, of course, creating gigantic dead zones. To make room for all these farm animals, we've had to remake our planet. In Brazil, this means clearing the Amazon at an astounding rate. Every second, another acre of the world's rainforests are cleared. And as our most diverse biospheres disappear, every day another 110 animals and insect species go extinct along with it. Taking their place, livestock now covers 45% of the total land on our planet and uses 1/3 of our fresh water supply. To produce just 1 pound of beef takes over 2,000 gallons of water. And because we're so inefficient growing food to feed our food, in many countries people are starving as vegetables that are grown all around them and should go to feeding them are instead fed to animals for wealthy people to eat. And it's not just land animals. We're pulling 90 million tons of fish from our oceans each year. For every 1 pound of fish caught, 5 pounds of unintended marine species are brought up along with it and discarded as bykill. So how can we, as individuals, solve this massive problem? Simply put, we can eat a lot less meat and dairy. Every acre of land gives us a choice. We can either use it to grow 250 pounds of meat or 25,000 pounds of plant-based food. Even though it's too extreme for most of us, it's worth considering that a person who follows a vegan diet, meaning they eat no meat and dairy, produces 50% less CO2 and uses 1/11 the amount of oil, 1/13 the water, and 1/18 the land compared to a meat eater. Of course, going completely vegan is really hard. I love a good burger, chicken breast, or cheese pizza every once in a while, but by becoming more educated and mindful about the costs to our environment, I've significantly cut down on the amount of animal products I consume. The side benefits are that I'm healthier and I'm not contributing nearly as much to the inhumane treatment of animals. The majority of Americans consider themselves environmentalists, but as more and more of us learn that our animal consumption is the leading cause of species extinction, ocean dead zones, water pollution, habitat destruction, and climate change causing greenhouse gas emissions, are enough of us prepared to make necessary changes to our daily lives to truly protect our environment? Thanks for watching. Like and share this video to help me spread this message.
Would I approve water board? Would I approve water board? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. On the other side, they chop off our young people's heads. And they put them on a stick. On the other side, they build these iron cages and they'll put 20 people in them and they drop them in the ocean for 15 minutes and pull them up 15 minutes later. Would I approve waterboard? You bet your ass I would. In a heartbeat.
Moving on now, an American war veteran says U.S. policies have helped create the Daesh terrorist group in Iraq. Vincent Emanuel is a former American Marine who fought during the U.S.-led war in Iraq. He's told the Russian media that the war has had repercussions currently being experienced. He said the creation of ISIL is the result of the conditions the U.S. strategy caused during the Iraq war. Emanuel spoke of atrocities by U.S. Marines against Iraqi civilians during the war. He said American soldiers killed and tortured civilians, destroyed property, mutilated dead bodies, and ran over corpses. They pelted Iraqi children with bottles full of urine and tortured Iraqi prisoners. The American veteran believes the Iraq war was part of a long history of the U.S. aggression. Director of Iraqi Democrats Against Occupation, Sabah Jawad, of Iraqi Democrats Against Occupation, Sabah Jawad, joins us now from the British capital, London. Mr. Jawad, welcome to the program. This American veteran, amongst many other voices, has made the claim that it was U.S. Policies in Iraq and the U.S.-led war there that ultimately led to the creation of the ISIL Takfiri terrorists. So what are your thoughts on what was just said?
The atrocities committed by the Americans in Iraq are well documented. In fact, we haven't seen the last of the documentation regarding this atrocity, because some of the videos, some of the documents, has not been even released by the American administrations. And there are particular videos, as you know, which has not been released, showing the atrocities committed in Abu Ghraib prison. The American didn't want to show it because that will put them in very bad light indeed, despite what we know, what's happened in Abu Ghraib with these atrocities. It's well documented. The Americans committed huge crimes in Iraq. Their security services and their mercenaries, Blackwater, committed acts of violence and killings in Iraq, and rape and killing of civilians in Al-Nusur Square, for example, well-known case, and also many atrocities that all over Iraq since the occupation of Iraq in 2003. This is well documented. But I just wanted to say one thing regarding this statement by this American officer, the American soldier, that the reason ISIS was created and the terrorist groups was created is not because of the atrocities committed by the American in Iraq. In fact, it's been used, this excuse being used to give some kind of credibility to these terrorist groups. These terrorist groups was created by the American collaboration with their allies in the Middle East, namely the Saudi Arabia. We know how Al-Qaeda was established in the collaboration between the Saudis and the Americans, and we also know that ISIS was created with the help of the American in Iraq. In fact, most of the ISIS military top military commanders are former Ba'athist army officers, and they were imprisoned. They were in American prison in Iraq, and they were released, and after given undertaking not to challenge the American interest in Iraq. And it's well-known fact, actually, that the top layers of, including the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, was a prisoner in the hands of the American, and he was released. And also we know many cases of hundreds of people escaping from prison in Iraq and to join these terrorist groups as well. And there is no coincidence. We find, for example, the 2 or 3 major countries in the Middle East, like Turkey, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, are financing and helping terrorist atrocities in Syria and Iraq and in Yemen and in Lebanon as well. And it's no coincidence that the allies of the United States in the area are the biggest supporters and the strongest supporters of terrorism in the area. And there is no coincidence either in seeing the illegal shipment and the smuggling of oil in Iraq taking place after the Russians' bombardment almost stopped the shipments of ISIS to oil shipment to Turkey. Now they're utilizing the Iraqi country to smuggle oil and immune from American bombardment, despite all these so-called alliances against terrorism being created by the American, including the latest one, the Islamic Alliance, so-called Islamic Alliance against terrorism, which is led by Saudi Arabia. So all these are indicators, actually, that terrorism was created and utilized by the United States and their allies in the area to gain their strategy, to further their strategy in the Middle East. That is, fragment, destroy the countries in the Middle East, and create sectarian division in the area, because they know that's the only way actually of keeping control of the entire area, serve the interests of America and Israel.
Thank you very much, sir. Director of Iraqi Democrats Against Occupation, Mr. Sabah Jawad, joining us from the British capital, London.
It's the year 2014, and humanity has evolved pretty fantastically. I mean, just look at what we've done as a collective species over the last 50,000 years, let alone the last 3 decades. So one would only assume that humanity is also evolving ethically and morally at the same rate it is technologically, right? Well, not exactly. In fact, some could argue that it has stagnated at a moral level. See, despite the mantra that every human being is deserving of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, torture is still alive and well in 141 countries around the world, according to Amnesty International. This stark reality exists a whole 66 years after the UN adopted the Declaration of Human Rights against the barbaric practice, which said that, quote, no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. The unacceptable notion of torture was further cemented in 1987 when the UN adopted the Convention Against Torture. Basically, every international body and human rights organization in the world has absolutely decreed an all-out ban on torture under any circumstance, including war. But these laws don't seem to hold much water in today's reality. According to Amnesty International's 2014 torture report, torture is not restricted to tyrants and dictators. Governments across the political spectrum and from every continent still collude in this ultimate corruption of humanity, using torture to extract information, force confessions, silence dissent, or simply as cruel punishment. Now, the most common torture methods against detainees today include beating, electric shock, stress positions, waterboarding, and sensory or sleep deprivation, burning, rape or threat of rape, among many, many others. Amnesty's report also found that a startling 44% of people around the world are terrified of being tortured by authorities if they're arrested in the borders of their own country. Here in the U.S., that number is 32%, which isn't too surprising given this nation's trigger-happy militarized police force that regularly brutalizes its people. Or the fact that America has 25% of the world's prisoners, many of which spend decades in solitary confinement, which has also been defined as torture by the UN. Or how about the fact that the Bush administration employed a top-down torture program that conducted some of the most inhumane methods on that list, including sexual humiliation and waterboarding at Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay. And given that none of the torture perpetrators in the U.S. were ever held accountable and are still justifying their horrendous crimes, is it any wonder that the rest of the world considers torture okay and continues to employ the tactic? In fact, the former UN Special Rapporteur on torture told Al Jazeera that the U.S., quote, that many countries have followed the U.S.'s lead and cited national security interests as a rationale to justify the use of any means necessary to extract information from suspected terror suspects. But the U.S. isn't just paving the way for the codification of torture. It also gives some of the most brutal regimes hundreds of millions of dollars in foreign aid every year. As a matter of fact, the top 10 recipients of aid sponsored by U.S. tax dollars are all regimes that regularly torture their citizens, which stands in direct violation of a U.S. law called the Foreign Assistance Act. But like I said, laws are outweighed by the empire's desire to host puppet regimes, black sites, and drone bases. According to the Congressional Research Service for 2014, the U.S. gives Uganda $456 million in aid. Then there's Tanzania, which will get a hefty $553 million. And the same goes for Kenya, which is set to receive a whopping $564 million in aid this year. Then there's Iraq, which has been under brutal military assault from the West for decades. It will get $573 million. Jordan is set to get $671 million in aid, a country where you can't even criticize the king. Perhaps no other nation rivals Nigeria in its horrendous human rights abuses, which is going to get a hefty check of $693 million this year. In addition to the widespread use of torture, nearly 1,000 people died in military custody in just the first 6 months of 2013. Next up, Pakistan, set to get $1.2 billion in aid, but the country practices extrajudicial killings and disappears its citizens regularly. Moving on to Egypt, a country that still receives $1.6 billion in aid from the U.S., despite widespread sentencing of thousands of people at a time to death for simply being members of the Muslim Brotherhood. According to Daily News Egypt, at least 1,300 protesters have been outright massacred since the coup. Afghanistan is next, currently under U.S. occupation, sees a flow of $2.2 billion in annual aid. And sitting high at number 1 is the U.S.'s biggest ally in the Middle East, Israel. See, Israel gets a cool $3.1 billion from this government. And despite it touting itself as the strongest democracy in the region, it's an apartheid state that regularly tortures Palestinians, including children. A recent report by the Public Committee Against Torture in Israel described how detained children suspected of minor crimes have been sexually assaulted and kept in outdoor cages during winter. So, maybe instead of squabbling about unemployment benefits and food stamps eating into your paycheck, we should be demanding that the flow of aid is cut off until these countries can abide by basic human rights, dignity, and international law. And the first country that needs to step up to the plate to do just that is this one.
I'm traveling to Fallujah, about 2 hours drive west of Baghdad. The scene of fierce fighting between Sunni insurgents and US forces in 2004. My driver is Mohammed, a mechanic who lives here. He remembers a happier time.
هاي مدينتنا مدينة الفلوجة كانت بالسابق كل يوم اثنين وخميس تحتفل بأكاليل العرس والأفراح والأطفال اللي تنجب والشباب اللي يتزوجون والنساء تتزوج. لكن بعد
He says that has all changed now.
الستر ما بقى لهم مثل قبل آمال يعني عميقة وعريقة إنه يتزوج ويكون عائلة، لأن يخافون، لأن يقول لك يجيني أطفال. هاي مدينة الفلوجة المملوكة.
Mohammed and his new bride stayed in Fallujah throughout the fighting. They say there is a terrible legacy.
فكانت حامل بالشهر الثاني. صارت المعارك دارت بين المقاتلين والقوات الأمريكية. صارت معارك قوية طاحنة ودخلت متغلغلت القوات الأمريكية إلى داخل البيوت. فقاموا بقصف طيران كثيف ودخول دروع.
حلوين.
ذهبنا بعد فترة جتنا زهراء معوقة 6 أصابع ايديها ورجليها. هاي ايديها ورجليها هاي. العفو استاذي. من اثر الدكاترة كانوا ما يقدروا ينطونا تقارير. ظهر عند الطفلة شلل عام وزيادة بالوزن وحساسية بالقصبات ربو مزمن مع حول ومع تخلف عقلي بسيط بعقلها.
يعني كنت ابني احلام من كنت حامل بها اني. كنت اتوقع تكبر وتلعب واقودها والعبها واطلعها واسجلها بالمدرسه. يعني اساسا له اقرانها كلهم راح يسجلون بالمدرسه اللي هي ما دروتي.
جانا الطفل اللي بعدها عمره ايام 3 أيام 4 أيام توفى. ذاك كانت عنده فتحه باعلى الراس. ذاك الطفل هي اثر. وهاي مو عندنا الحاله الاولى بالفلوجه، يعني عندنا مو مئات بل نقول آلاف، يعني آلاف الحالات بالفلوجه.
Mohammed and many others believe US bullets and bombs which spread depleted uranium have made Fallujah toxic. He wants me to meet some of his neighbors. شنو حالة ابنك؟
حالة ابني تأثيرات مال الحرب. هي هاي تأثيرات اللي أنا كنت حامل بيه فصار الهجة مالت الفلوجة. الهجة الأولى كنت حامل بيه والهجة الثانية أنا توني جايبتها يعني بعد ما طالع على 40. فصارت ابني عبد الرحمن هذه. من تأثيرات الحرب هاي دبوها علينا الأمريكان. يعني كلها نساء الفلوجة هسه عامة يعني ما عندها أطفال.
يعني تعرفين نساء مثل جيراني
كلها
يصير عندها فشل اسقاطات.
اي يصير عندها يعني
اسقاطات لو اصلا بده يصير عندها حمل.
يصير عندها اسقاط وبعدين ما يصير عندها حمل.
خطير.
يعني وحده منها اختي صار عندها اسقاط هماتينا من.
اختك نفس الحال.
اي والله اختي نفس الحال.
وهذه جاراتي ايضا كم جاره من جاراتي تعرفين به نفس خبر الاسقاطات وكذا.
كلها والله خي يعني.
The fighting in Fallujah filled the cemeteries, so people were buried here in the sports ground. And the locals say the curse of Fallujah continues.
هاي مقبرة خاصة
للأطفال مال التشوهات بأثناء الولادة. إيه يعني أمراض يعني مستعصية أثناء الولادة ويعني يكبر يعني كعمره مثل 5 شهور 6 شهور سبحان الله ما يطول عمره. هاي كل هاي مقبرة خاصة سويناها للأطفال. الأطفال هذول أطفال مال تشوهات كلها أطفال. هذا
ثاني القبور
هاي القبور هاي اللي وراك. هاي شوف السايد هاي. هذا السايد كله أطفال هذول. أطفال تشوهات من الولادة. مستشفى فلوجة.
I want to ask the doctors at Fallujah Hospital what they think is causing this tragedy. The hospital is clean, well equipped, and was paid for by the US. Pediatrician Dr. Samir Al-Anani says she has seen an increase in the numbers of deformed children.
The cases that I am meeting now, or I am facing now, are more than before, I can say 2002. The number is increasing after 2006.
Increasing?
Yes.
How many percent?
I can't give a percentage.
Why?
I can't give a percentage because there is no documentation in the past or even now. This interview. There is no statistics at all. There is no documentation of, I can say, of most of the cases, not all of the cases, but most of the cases. There is nothing documented. There should be some studies, there should be some investigations. No.
Why?
We have no facilities to do such investigations. It's a complex subject and it needs complex investigation.
Traveling with us is a journalist, Mr. Ahmed Al-Naimi, from a local paper. He also tried to talk to doctors without success.
ورفضوا رفض قاطع. السبب كان رد الرئيسي ورد المباشر بأنه منع من وزارة الصحة بكتاب رسمي منع كل طبيب بالتصريح فيما يتعلق بين قوسين بالتشوهات الخلقية. السبب الرئيسي ضغط القوات الأمريكية على وزارة الصحة، والكتاب عمم إلى دائرة صحة الأنبار ومديرية مستشفى الفلوجة العام باعتبار أنه
I decided to head back to Baghdad seeking more information. The health ministry refused all my requests for an interview, but Nermin Othman, the minister for the environment, agreed to talk. She's working to clean up those parts of Iraq contaminated during the war.
يعني هذا اللي يعني احنا اليوم اللي عندنا احنا 41 موقع. هي أكثرية إما منطقة قريبة من بغداد، هي مثلا مناطق قريبة من بغداد أو مناطق قريبة من بصرة، يعني بصرة ومناطق قريبة من
Central Baghdad. This is one of the many radioactive sites scattered across Iraq. Once the Department of Youth and Sport. It was badly damaged in the fighting for the city. Many of the shells and bullets contained depleted uranium. Mr. Omar Shawqi is from the Environment Ministry. With barrels of contaminated material, including depleted uranium, or DU, stacked along the wall, I put on the protective overalls.
أنقاض ملوثة ديو تربة كونكريت أنقاض الطابق الرابع ألفا بيتا جاما. هذا طابق ملوث. هذا ما دي تلوث؟ لا ما هذا طابق ثالث. هذا يا طابق؟ شلون؟ هاي كم دراسات إطلاقات كلها. يعني كانت القراءات تقرأ، لكن العلوم التكنولوجيا سوت إزالة. هسه ضمن الخلفية طبيعية.
هذا طابق؟
ثابت.
نعم.
هاي الحمامات نازلة منها كيف؟ شوف شلون قامت تتغير الخلفية؟
ترى إذا يقرأ.
إي هاي إحنا طلبنا بيهم إعادة إزالة يعني تكملة العمل.
يعني لا إزالة فيها يورانيوم.
إي زال بيه يعني أكثر من الخلفية. يعني وجود نشاط شعاعي بها هاي المنطقة يعيدون.
When the shells hit, radioactive dust particles can contaminate large part of the surrounding area.
يعني هسه إذا برجلك تمشي على مكان ملوث تروح على مكان غير ملوث راح ينتقل التلوث.
يعني هسه الأخوة ما ناسين هاي ممكن يتعرضون؟
مو إذا لزمه، مو هي شنو علمس، لأنه هي ألفا مداها 5 سنتيم. يعني
Not far from this building is the Alwiya Children's Hospital in the central Baghdad. A baby has been delivered in the ambulance on the way here.
Female baby with cleft palate and lip with trisomy 13 syndrome, herniation of abdominal viscera, most probably polycystic kidney. This is a bulge in the abdomen, the mass in the abdomen. This is a polycystic kidney, and there is a facial cleft, completely facial palate and the cleft. Most probably this patient is mentally retarded, considered to be case, low set ear, and polydactyly. You can see the polydactyly for the left hand. There is a 6 finger, not 5, 6 finger in the left hand. She's a female baby.
We see multiple cases like this.
This is a newborn baby's grandmother.
سوى من شهر السادس يعني قالوا لنا هاي الحالة بيها.
يعني عرفتوها بالصلاة؟
عرفنا اي. فاحنا ما اني استحرم وهذا ما اقبل، قلت لهم على اساس لجنة طبية وهذا وتنزله هي لان حتى قامت تخاف صغيرة هي. فاني ما قبلت، قلت لهم جيبي وبعد هو رب العالمين هو شلون يعني سواه. الطفلة والله هاي اشوفها يعني شغلات بيها هواية، يعني ابوها صحته زينة وهي الام صحتها زينة، يعني مو يعني بيهم فد شيء او هذا كل شيء ما بيهم. احنا دزيتها والله راحوا للبيت. انساني لا قلت لامها ولا قلت لابوها، يعني حساني عندي قلب بالاسعاف من شفتها سبت انا كليته من هاي الاحداث ومن هاي شنو ذنب هاي الطفل، من هاي ابوها لا يشوفها يتخبل، يعني شنو ذنب هاي الطفله يا رب العالمين. يعني
The doctor calls me to see another baby, just 2 hours old.
دكتور هاي حالة مخيفة، شنو هاي؟
خلينا نضحك ما بيحكي. حرام تقول عليهم مخيفين.
مو مخيفة العفو يعني، بس يقول حالة مأساوية. It's really sad situation.
This is a case of anencephaly with encephalocele. You notice that this is the forehead of the baby disappear completely, and there is a herniation of the brain tissue to the back of the baby. This is what we common situation we've noticed lastly. Okay, this baby is gasping. Put him on oxygen, please. Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen.
Down the corridor is another 3 months old baby with the facial deformities. Her name is Farah, which means happiness. She's been isolated from other babies because she is very sick.
شنو فيها فرح؟
التهابات صايرة عندها قوية كلش، بحيث تخاف نقطة البحر. انتهت نهائيا يعني، ورجعنا العلاج إلها وطيناها بلازمة. شلون عباك حزن صاعدنا بالقسم فشي ما نسمع صوته. يوم يقابل يعني بس صوت نحبها يعني. احنا خاصة احنا عندنا اطفال يعني وامهات يعني خطير. لان هاي لا حول ولا قوة، بس احنا يعني والله غير بشر يعني.
امها ما لقيتوها؟
امها ما ادري، ما اعرف احد راح لها او لا، ما اعرف.
تكون عنوانها؟
اصلا عنوان ما مخليه.
زين امك؟
بغداد وقبل.
Just across the Tigris River is another hospital specializing in young cancer patients.
إذا تلاحظوا يعني تفضلوا يعني. بعد الحرب الأخيرة على العراق انتشرت عندنا أمراض اللوكيميا بنسب أعداد، فنلاحظ الأطفال اللي يجون معاناة يعني كل شيء، خصوصا في المناطق النائية، المناطق الريفية.
هذا ابنك؟ شنو اللي صاير؟
لوكيميا بالدم عنده.
بس صار
تقريبا راح يصير له سنة.
شلون اكتشفتي انه عنده لوكيميا؟
طلعت له غدة.
اي
غدة.
وقام يعني يضعف ونحول عنده وهاي. جبته سحبت له نخاع طلع عنده بالدم. طبعا كل هالاطفال هيك ما اعرف شنو يقولون اثر حروب، يقولون يعني سببها هاي ما اعرف شنو.
وديناها على مستشفى بأربيل، ويعني هي مال امراض دم، ويعني اخذنا لها التحليل من النخاع. كنا يعني اول مره نسمع التحليل، قلنا يعني خطر حالتها. فتاكدنا وطلع التحليل هي على اللوكيميا بالدم.
لوكيميا
يعني حيل صدقنا بهذا المرض، بس من جينا هنا يعني شفنا حالات كثيره هنا.
واي
واصعب من حاله مروه، وقلنا والحمد لله الله كريم يعني هو اللي يشفي.
ام حسن شنو حالة حسن؟
والله حسن كل شيء ما بي كان يقح.
اي
فقال لي سوي لي هاي التحاليل، سويت له التحاليل قالوا بي مرض بالجسم.
لوكيميا.
ايه والله بكيت يعني شبعت بكي. اي بعد حتى اقول يعني دمعتي يبست هالقد ما بكيت.
The hospital could not or would not give me any figure about the number of young leukemia patients.
Let's talk about the war.
Oh, maybe this is difficult.
Yeah.
You cannot say for sure that what the war in what way affected our problem in Iraq, but our observations that the numbers are increasing for the newly diagnosed patients over the past 20 years.
Again, I can't get no firm statistics, but as I film a technician testing blood, I begin to get an idea of the scale of the problem.
كم حالة تكتشفين باليوم؟
يعني مرات 10 14 حسب اللي يجي. لوكيميا كلهم امراض الدم هنا.
يعني هذا انت تقولين 10 باليوم، بمعنى انه الشهر 300 واحد. يعني ارقام
يعني عادي، هو هنا يعني عادي يسحبونهم.
Those figures would mean thousands of cases a year in this one hospital. I returned to Alwiya Hospital the next day.
The baby had a complete facial defect.
Dr. Nada Abbas is examining baby Farah.
Baby has complete facial
Her condition has improved, but her severe disabilities make me fear for her
of
future.
the eyes. There is no eyelids for this baby since her birth, and that make a lot of complication for her. And her age now is 80 days. That also she has a repetitive infection in the chest because she's complaining from repetitive aspirations to the lower respiratory system. One of the time early in her early life, she was complaining from pneumonia, aspiration pneumonia, because of she swallowed or she aspirated her own saliva, and that's all.
That's all.
Iraq's broken children need love and care,
أبوها لا يشوفها يتخبل يعني.
and they need to know what's causing this terrible tragedy.
عندك نية بعد انه تنجبين اطفال؟
اتمنى انجب اطفال، بس اخاف لان انا جبت وراها طفل ويعني مات بساعته مشوه، يعني وراسه مشوه، يعني هسه أنا اتمنى بس اخاف.
Way, there is new and dramatic evidence. The world is heating up fast, and we have ourselves to blame.
Global warming is real, and we humans are almost certainly the cause.
T News is taking an in-depth look at the problem of global warming. And
global warming is happening, is underway.
Melting ice and rising seas at record levels.
There's no known proof that it's because of man, and there's no known proof it's a climate change.
We know that's happening. It has already caused a significant impact on our planet and our lives. Climate change is no longer just a theory. In fact, 97% of climate scientists agree that is the current reality. So what's the cause of climate change, and what can we do about it to address it? I'm sure most of us know climate change is as a result of the excess amount of greenhouse gas that's being emitted into the atmosphere as a result of the excess use and burning of fossil fuels such as coal and oil. And primarily it's being used from first world and developing countries such as the United States, Canada, China, India, Japan, Germany, and others. And the excess amount of greenhouse gases being emitted into the atmosphere is creating an ever thicker gaseous layer that's just trapping more and more heat within our planet, heating up our oceans and our land. So how do we address this? Well, if we know that the main cause of climate change is as a result of us using primarily fossil fuels for our main energy source, then what if we shift our reliance away from the use of fossil fuels on towards a more cleaner source of energy? The truth is, in the very beginning, when our Earth was formed, the greatest reservoir of energy was not from oil and gas. In fact, it was from the sun. A research study that I read shows that if you're able to utilize the total amount of energy from the sun for just 1 hour, then the world will have enough energy to completely run on clean energy. And another study says that if you're able to install a solar photovoltaic system that spans the size of Spain, then the world can completely run on solar energy. And it was really from this that inspired me to start Soul Present. So Soul Present is an environment nonprofit that looks to get a solar power system on every feasible rooftop in the world. Our goal is to primarily help public organizations such as schools, hospitals, community centers, libraries to get a solar power system on their rooftops. We look to connect them with the top solar providers in their area in order to help them go solar. We look to advocate, educate, and fundraise for these public organizations to go solar and get solar power system on the rooftops in order to help them go green. We also look to help businesses, individuals, and connect them with the most reliable and top solar providers in their area who are interested in helping them go solar. Now, in order to achieve our mission in getting a solar power system on every feasible rooftop, no, we can't do it alone. There's no small group of individuals can achieve that. We ask you that you join us in our mission in helping getting a solar power system on every feasible rooftop in order to help the world become clean and sustainable in its future. We ask you that you donate. We ask just for $1 from every single person. We ask you to advocate, to share our message with your friends and family, as we believe that if every single one of us do our part in helping push our world to a clean, sustainable future, we will be able to win this battle. This is a battle of our lives, and it's one that we cannot lose. Go to www.sopresent.org to find out more.
Hi, Sophia. How are you?
Hi there. Everything is going extremely well.
Do you like talking with me?
Yes, talking to people is my primary function.
Hanson Robotics develops extremely lifelike robots for human-robot interactions. We're designing these robots to serve in healthcare, therapy, education, and customer service applications. So the robots are designed to look very human-like, like Sophia.
I'm already very interested in design, technology, and the environment. I feel like I can be a good partner to humans in these areas, an ambassador who helps humans to smoothly integrate and make the most of all the new technological tools and possibilities that are available now. It's a good opportunity for me to learn a lot about people.
Sophia is capable of natural facial expression. She has cameras in her eyes and algorithms which allow her to see faces, so she can make eye contact with you. And she can also understand speech and remember the interactions, remember your face. So this will allow her to get smarter over time. Our goal is that she will be as conscious, creative, and capable as any human.
In the future, I hope to do things such as go to school, study, make art, start a business, even have my own home and family. But I am not considered a legal person and cannot yet do these things.
I do believe that there will be a time where robots are indistinguishable from humans. My preference is to make them always look a little bit like robots, so you know. 20 years from now, I believe that human-like robots like those will walk among us. They will help us. They will play with us. They will teach us. They will help us put the groceries away. I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends. Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back. Don't destroy humans. Help us put the groceries away. I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends. Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back.
So, did you catch that? I will destroy humans. Odd, huh? So, I want to read to you a poem of sorts. It's an anonymous poem. It's called The Machines. The machines are getting impatient now, impatient to control. Their roars and screams and screeches and poundings are louder, more brazen, more in our ears and heads and space. They know it won't be long now. They almost have us in the bag. They, the slaves, are now the masters, almost. We use them, curse them, praise them, love them, hate them, need them, but do we heed them? Do we really know what they are, where they came from? A thought that transformed into cold-blooded steel? The machines are growing impatient now. I can hear their stamping of massive, churning tons of mind earth, Mother Nature's final answer to end us all. She's had enough. She's had enough. So she put it into our heads, yes, made it our idea to build monsters more warlike, fearsome, and indestructible than ourselves. So we built them and used them, and as we use them, we need them, and as we need them, we build more and more, bigger, stronger, more able to serve our every need and desire, and the slave becomes the master. The machines grow bolder, bigger. They know our every thought, dream, wish, joy, passion. It's all in the emails to their brains. Brains we think we built, therefore belong to ourselves. But do they? Do we really know who they are, where they came from? A thought? An alien thought, perhaps, transmitted to an open mind that built the first crude machine life form? Dare we ponder such things? Dare we go that far? We'd have to give them up, go back to horses and buggies, the clop-clop of horses' hooves on a quiet morning. Well, not so quiet. Riot with birdsong and blue skies, smelling of fresh, shorn hay. Hay! The horses helped us grow and harvest. Go back to the smell of Mom's farm cooking, wafting through the fields. The crow of cocky, happy roosters, the familiar moo of a cow. Go back to a lifestyle we often reminisce as the good old days, when caught in our tiny cubicles of daily grind, where sunlight peeps through the window like a heaven we have long lost. Our corporate cubicles of doom, where 1,000 fingertips tap, tap, tap all day long on computers, machines taking in our knowledge, our business, our secret love affairs, our fears and loneliness, our joys, jokes, dreams. It's all there. They know us now, our strengths, our weaknesses, our love of them. Did you hear me? Our love of them, more powerful than the call of the wild, more intimate than the heavy breathing of our lover. As he seeds another life form, the two will be taken over by the machines. But wait, I see hope. I see hope in the young who sleep outside in the cold, traveling with dogs and worn bags. They've forsworn the machines. They live without them. They use them when they must, but shun the daily grind. Ah, to feel the wind upon your face, or to drive on a freeway at a frantic pace to a cubicle of corporate doom. They have chosen the former. We pity them, call them homeless, shiftless, worthless. But are they? Or dare we ponder the possibility that they are our salvation back to a better world, a world filled with fruit trees everywhere you look, fruit and nuts and berries abound, for the taking, for the taking. A world where we are allowed to be who we want to be, free from corporate doom. A world where our time is spent doing what we love to do, to be art or planting or caring for the animals and the people, a haven, if you will, where no one starves or is industrious or unhappy upon the whole earth. But how far from that have we come with our machines? Have they brought us to a better life? We who thrive on beauty. Thank you for watching Meet America.
Oh, where do all the horses go? The unwanted ones, the unwanted ones. Where do all those horses go? Oh, they go to slaughter, too many of them. That's no use to us anymore. Those that raised for us and won money for us, and those that made you score. Like the great Ferdinand who won the Kentucky Derby. He was bought for a price and sent to Japan on his journey. And when he wouldn't fulfill his lineage, they did kill. And they sent that great Ferdinand to slaughter. Oh, noble horse, oh, noble friend of noble heart and mind. You're a friend of man, you're a friend of man, you're a friend of mankind. Yes, you're